What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Now, I'm pretty sure it's been about an hour since my last video, but for today's video, I'm gonna be doing some breaking news, including the latest on who is Grayson Waller's right-hand man. Wonder who he could be. Matt Cardona, or I guess formerly known as Zack Ryder in WWE, is open to an offer for a return to WWE. Who knows? Tommaso Ciampa dealing with an elbow injury, and then also a former AEW Dark star being signed to WWE. Let's take a look at that, because again, I don't watch AEW. I've heard a lot of great things about them. I know that I've seen a couple of clips on YouTube, including the promo that was between CM Punk and MJF or something like that. I don't know, but I think it was the one where Punk called MJF a less famous Miz. If you guys saw that promo, let me know in the comments, because I don't remember. But the name of the AEW star is Cole Carter, and apparently he's being noticed by WWE, which is very crazy. Excuse me. So, according to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, no copyrights, big shout out, of course. It's been noted that he's been noticed by WWE to work with them, and the report read saying Cole Carter, who has worked a lot of matches in AEW, is doing what is being called his final independent appearance on the 22nd, which is actually today of all days. While he's not allowed to say it, the belief is he signed or signing with WWE since he was at a recent tryout. Since he's only 21, he would be one of the youngest stars on the NXT roster, which is apparently their current strategy for their tryout, for their developmental contracts, so to speak. So I don't know much about this Carter dude. Apparently he's been making a lot of waves since being a part of AEW. Excuse me. But yeah, honestly, I think someone like him would be really cool to be on NXT, because if you guys know, Ben Carter, or he's now Nathan Fraser, was signed to NXT UK just this past year, back in 2021, last year, and he's been making a lot of headwaves since joining the roster, going up against guys like Walter, going up against guys like Ilya Dragunov and Joe Coffey, and he's been on a roll. He's been on a roll, and I think Cole Carter could really benefit from being on NXT, with how good he's been on AEW, as far as what I've seen on social media. He could be quite the talent on NXT. But Tommaso Ciampa now dealing with a elbow injury. So on his Instagram, let's see. So on his So on his Instagram, he posted a photo of his elbow being completely swollen, and I'll even show a big shout out to Ciampa, of course. No copyrights, y'all know how it works, but that's his elbow. And he captioned it saying, "Considering a new finisher, perhaps an elbow drop." Yeah, it's pretty fucking nasty, I must admit. And I'm actually on Instagram right now. I'm actually just scrolling through a bunch of shit. But anyway, so you guys know John Cena actually had the same thing done to him back in 2013. It was right after he dropped the WWE title to Daniel Bryan, or I guess now Bryan Danielson, using his real name on AEW. Back at SummerSlam in 2013, that was when Triple H had turned heel, as did Randy Orton. He ended up having surgery, and from what I remember, they actually had to. There was a lot of pus inside that elbow, and they had to remove every bit of it, which was gnarly, absolutely gnarly. I think Ciampa is dealing with the same thing. And it was pretty nasty. He was out for only a couple months, so I'm not so sure how long Ciampa will be out for, but as of right now, he's next in line to be on the main roster. He's from what we know, he's now next in line to be on the main roster, as is Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne is also being considered to be on the main roster, potentially Monday Night Raw. Ciampa's potentially supposed to be on SmackDown, from what I've been hearing, but only time will tell. Big shoutouts to Ciampa. Wishing you a speedy recovery, man. Big shoutouts to you. Now the question is, who is Grayson Waller's right-hand man, his insurance policy? Well, you guys know who Veer Mahan is, right? From WWE Main Event that streams on Hulu. Big shout out, no copyrights. You guys remember Veer? Well, this dude's name, the insurance policy of Grayson Waller, is none other than Sarav. If you guys remember the tag team Indus Share that was introduced to the NXT universe back in 2020 during the pandemic, they made a lot of headways during their time in NXT, and then last year, in 2021, at the WWE Network's, at what was then the WWE Network Special Superstar Spectacle, which was a show to introduce the fans to new talent that's coming either coming from India, or that is Indian descent, if you will. And there was a few of them. Shanky was one of them. Indus Share, Guru Raj, Jeet Rama. I think he was released from WWE not too long ago, actually, just a few months ago, which is pretty sad. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy. It's been pretty crazy to say the very least. But Sarav now is a part of. I think Sarav Gurjar is his name. But yeah, he came back to WWE for the first time in over a year since now, you know, obviously re-emerging as Grayson Waller's Muscle, which this proves that Grayson Waller is just one of those typical heels. He's one of those typical heels that says that he can do it on his own, but really, he just can't. Don't get me wrong; it is awesome to see Sarov back in WWE, but at the same time, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because with him as Grayson Waller's heavy, this now means that Grayson Waller is now the most dangerous man in NXT. And if you guys thought that Santos Escobar was dangerous, you guys thought that, or I guess now Gunther is his name now, but I'm calling him Walter. If you guys thought that Walter was dangerous, Grayson Waller is now dangerous, really dangerous with Sarov as his heavy. So who knows what he has planned for who knows what he has planned for NXT this coming Tuesday. But now the question remains, what does Matt Cardona have? What terms does he have for WWE in order for a possible return? So you guys know, back in 2020, he was released from WWE because of the budget cuts and because of the pandemic. He went on to compete on Impact Wrestling, and now is a part of GCW. Big shout out, of course, no copyrights. He was on the Busted Open Radio. Big shout outs to them. And he said that, and he was asked if he would listen to any offers that WWE would bring to the table for him to come back. And he said, and he said, quote, definitely would listen. And then he laid out some terms. On the off chance that that WWE would be listening, and so one of the terms that they said was that he would not give up his podcast, which is the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. Big shout out, no copyrights. If WWE had called them, which is one thing that they would have to put up with, which is pretty crazy. And he would not, under no circumstance would he sign the rights to his podcast over to WWE either. So it would be his podcast, his rules, no BS. He also recalled pitching the action figure obsessed show before, but WWE was not. They were okay with it for a few episodes, and then they just kind of cut it off, and so now he said that this would set him up for life after wrestling, and he would never sacrifice it. So honestly, it is what it is. But one thing that I think we can definitely agree on is that Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder was one of the most entertaining superstars in WWE. Whether he was a babyface, whether he was a heel, it didn't matter. He showcased his talent to WWE, not just on Raw and SmackDown and on ECW, but also on NXT when he and Mojo Rawley were known as the Hype Bros, and then ended up jump shipping over to the main roster on SmackDown when it was known as SmackDown Live, that would air on Tuesdays. And so for Cardona to come back to WWE, whether he comes back as Zack Ryder or using his real name, I think would be beneficial for WWE because of the fact that Cardona, people forget that he's a former multi-time tag team champion. He's a former United States champion, and he's a former Intercontinental champion as well. And people forget that the Raw tag team titles was the last championship that Cardona won before he got released from WWE in 2020 from the budget cuts. So it's possible for him to come back, but only time will tell. But if he does come back, given how much success he's had, not just on TNA but also on GCW, I would love for him to go after potentially the NXT title. I would say put him back on NXT for a bit, for about 6, 7 months, 8 months at best, and then have him jump ship back over to the main roster, challenge for possibly the United States title, and go with it. Go with that, and then jump ship over to the WWE title, which is a very, very high possibility. But that brings me to the question of the day: Do you guys want to see Matt Cardona back in WWE? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want to see more WWE news videos, which usually get posted on Thursdays, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. You can send it through that. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.